everyone, I'm your biology master teacher Gopika. We are going to see you live soon. So bega video na like ಮಾಡಿ. Okay, fine. Now we will start with the first one, that is none other than your typhoid. Okay, it is clearly visible. Yes, typhoid, the causative agent is going to be Salmonella typhi, and there was a person called Mary Mallon who was called as Typhoid Mary. Why? Because she was a cook in many places, and every single place she went and contaminated with typhoid. Okay, Salmonella typhi. She was a carrier of the disease, and that is why we call her Typhoid Mary. Okay, she contaminated food and water. That is how you get typhoid usually. And the symptoms are, students, you usually get fever, which is around 39 degree to 40 degrees Celsius, abdominal pain, and you also get chills. Okay, and how can you confirm this? With the help of Vidal test, and the vaccine can be TY21, which is not necessary for you. So what you have to remember here, you have to remember the causative agent, you have to remember how you can diagnose or how to know. Okay, now Vidal test is known, so that question can come. Last time also I made you solve one PYQ, there also they had asked which is a disease that can be identified with the help of Vidal test. Now Typhoid Mary or Mary Mallon you can know, and you should also know typhoid is spread because of contaminated food and water. Clear? Okay? Clear or not? If yeah, the person can be a carrier, especially most of the women, if you notice, they can be carrier to most of the diseases. Okay, diseases not like these, but the genetic diseases, most of the time the women are carriers. Okay, clear or not? I think many of them ran, right? Many of them ran. Vidal test is only for typhoid here, only for typhoid. Clear? Okay, chalo, let's continue. Now that is your typhoid for you. So causative agent is important. Okay, now tell me about pneumonia. Pneumonia, what is the causative agent? All of you tell me in the chat box. Let's see how many of you remember. The causative agent is going to be Haemophilus influenzae. Haemophilus influenzae and Streptococcus pneumoniae, used by Griffith for the transforming principle experiment. Okay, Streptococcus pneumoniae. So here also what happens, students? These two are the causative agents, right? Correct? I have already cleared your doubt, Mr. Who is that? Danesh. Okay. Yes. So here what is happening? Haemophilus influenzae and Streptococcus pneumoniae is that these people are causative agents. Now what happens, students, here? Here the fluid filled, okay, the alveoli, okay, the lymph or the mucus will get filled. Mucus. So here the main reason for this pneumonia is because of the mucus getting filled, okay, in the air sacs, okay, inside the alveoli as well as inside the bronchi, bronchioles, okay, inside alveoli and bronchioles, leading to difficulty in breathing, and in very fatal situation, like very extreme fatal situation, what is going to happen? The person will have greenish to bluish, grayish blue, we can say bluish to grayish, bluish gray, okay, grayish to bluish lips and nails. This is in extreme situation, okay, extreme situation of pneumonia. Again, same thing, fever, chills, all of this will be there. And what is going to happen? Mucus filling is going to happen in the alveoli and the bronchioles. And in very fatal situation, in very extreme situation, the lips, the nails and the lips are going to be grayish to bluish in color. Okay, this is why, because there's no enough circulation. Okay, there's no enough circulation. I hope it is clear. My glasses is dirty. Yes, grayish to bluish color. If you see the photo, it will look like blackish only, but then still, okay, it is grayish to bluish in color. Any doubts in this? This is your pneumonia for you. Students, mainly see, we will be studying in depth about it, obviously, in human health and diseases, but I have put the NCERT snips so we can just go through that. See, look here. Bacteria like Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae are responsible for the cause of pneumonia in humans, which infects the alveoli, that is the airfill sacs of the lungs. As a result of the infection, the alveoli get filled with fluid, leading to severe problems in respiration. The symptoms of pneumonia include what and all? Fever, chills, cough and headaches. In severe cases, the lips and the fingernails will turn grey to bluish in color. A healthy person acquires the infection by inhaling the droplets of the infected person. Now, inhaling droplets means what? Let's say one person has pneumonia, the person sneezed and the droplets are there. We inhale the droplets or go and touch an object or share the utensils that is used. All this way, we are going to get pneumonia. Clear? Now, next is going to be common cold, which is very common. Very common, right? What is the causative agent of common cold? Causative agent of common cold is rhinovirus. Okay? Rhinovirus. This is the causative agent. It's obviously a viral infection. Students, rhinovirus can come in different variants, because of which you will not have a one-stop cure for this, okay, because they can come in different variants as they are viruses, okay. And the symptoms are going to be, as you know, runny nose, okay, symptoms, runny nose, sneezing, okay, sneezing. This will stay somewhere 3 to 7 days, up to 1 week it can go, okay. And the things are what? Runny nose will be there, congestion can happen, at the same time you can have extreme sneezing. All these are the symptoms, and during this time your immunity will be extremely less, that you will not feel like, you know, eating food well, you will not feel like hydrating yourself. So common cold is very common, okay. But what you have to remember is the causative agent rhinovirus. Rhinovirus, it's a viral infection, okay. Next one, see here. They have given here, okay. So the common cold, they infect the nose and the respiratory passage, but not the lungs. So that means common cold is not dangerous. Students, all of you call your friends, those who ran away. This is why I don't give breaks, because if I give breaks, you people will go and then you'll have lunch watching one series and you'll not come back. Call all your friends, ask them to come. Okay. Now what is going to happen here? These people, the common cold, even though it is very infectious and everyone gets it very commonly, it is not affecting the lungs. That is why it is not dangerous, because it only affects the alveoli and we just get that, you know, sneezing and all of that, okay. So it will just affect the nose and the respiratory tract, not the alveoli. I'm so sorry. The common cold is characterized by nasal congestion and discharge, sore throat, hoarseness, cough, cold, headache. All this can come on a longer, okay, longer period. Clear? Which is usually 3 to 7 days, okay. Droplets resulting from an infected person is the main reason, and also students, by touch. Now this pen, I have common cold, you touch the pen, passed on to the next person, everyone in the room will have common cold. Or I sneezed, okay, and the droplets are there, or I touched something, okay. During all these mediums, the common cold can be spread. Okay, next most important thing, malaria. Malaria is caused by who? Plasmodium vivax. So here malaria is caused by Plasmodium vivax. Okay, there is Plasmodium falciparum, which causes the most malignant one. Plasmodium vivax is there, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium malariae is there, but here Plasmodium vivax is the most common. So this fellow, Plasmodium vivax, needs digenetic host. That means what? 2 hosts it needs. Okay, one female Anopheles mosquito and the person. Okay, here what is going to happen, students? The mosquito already is infected, it has Plasmodium vivax. It will have sporozoites. Okay, spores will be there, sporozoites will be there. That sporozoites, now the mosquito has come and bit a man. Okay, now it has bit a man and the sporozoites has entered the body. First, where will it go? To the liver. It will go to the hepatocytes, multiply continuously, asexually, burst open the liver cells. Burst open the liver cells. It will burst open the liver cells and go into the blood vessels. Now here, it will burst the liver cells, that is the hepatocytes, and then it will go to the RBC. In the RBC also, it will continuously asexually reproduce, bursting open the RBC, leading to a release of hemozoin. Can you see? Release of hemozoin, which favors the formation of the gametes, at the same time also causes fever and chills. That's why during malaria you get recurring fever. You do not get fever continuously. After 3-4 days you get fever, again after 3-4 days you get fever. So that recurring fever is because of this complete cycle to happen. Okay, this RBC bursting open will release hemozoin, and this hemozoin will end up giving you fever and chills. Clear to all of you? Now, going back here, what exactly happens in the mosquito? So, students, asexual reproduction is going to happen in man. Okay? So, asexual reproduction will happen in man. Full multiplication, asexually dividing, all of this will happen in man. Sexual part will happen in the mosquito. So, the mosquito will come. It will take the blood meal, let's say from one person. In that blood meal, let's say the gametes are there. The male and the female gametes are there. Male and the female gametes will be formed here only in the RBC. But we are not capable of fertilizing it. Man do not favor the fertilization of it. Got it? So, it will go to the gametes will be taken up by the blood meal, by the mosquito, and there fertilization will happen. Here fertilization will happen, zygote will be formed, that zygote will develop to sporozoites. This sporozoites will be formed in the gut of the mosquito. See here, development in the gut of the mosquito, but storage will happen in the salivary gland, and the question has come, where does sporozoites are stored? And where is the fertilization of the formation of sporozoites? Formation is in the gut of the mosquito. Storage is in the salivary gland. Clear? Storage in the salivary gland. Fine. So, this is what malaria happens. Plasmodium vivax is the person. So, the infected mosquito will come and bite a person, a man. From the man, the sporozoites will directly go to the liver. In the liver, continuous asexual reproduction will happen. The hepatocyte cells will burst open, and this will go into the blood. In the blood also, it will go to the RBC. It will do continuous multiplication of the RBC. In the RBC will end up releasing hemozoin, which causes fever and chills, and also help in the gamete formation. The gamete will be taken up by a blood meal by another mosquito or the same mosquito, we do not know. It will be taken up by the blood meal, and the gamete fertilization will happen in the gut of the mosquito. Fertilization will lead to the formation of sporozoites. That sporozoites will be stored in the salivary gland, and the cycle will continue. Clear? Cycle will continue. Okay, this is your malarial life cycle. So, this is the image given in your NCERT, and it's the same thing what I explained. As you can see here, the infected mosquito bites a man. It will go, the parasite will reach the liver. From liver, it will continuously burst open the liver cells, and it will go to the RBC. RBC also, it will continuously burst open, causing cycles of fever and other symptoms. Released parasite infect now the red blood cells. Red blood cells, again here you can see female and male gametes are formed. It will be taken up by a blood meal by another mosquito or the same mosquito. Fertilization and development will happen in the mosquito's gut. Storage of the sporozoites will happen in the salivary gland. Cycle will continue. Okay, cycle will continue. That's all. Story over. Okay, story over. Now, amoebiasis. Malaria, any doubts? Malaria, any doubts? Tell me quickly in the chat box. Yes, you're very early. I just started the class. Just now. Just this moment of life, I started the class. Yes, dear. Okay, so amoebiasis is caused by entamoeba. Entamoeba histolytica. Entamoeba histolytica. This is also caused by contaminated food only. Okay, contaminated food and water. Half of the diseases are caused by contaminated food and water, students. Okay, so this is also an oral fecal route. Okay, that means the fecal matter has mixed with the food, or due to a fly or a carrier, the food has got contaminated. Okay, that is the reason. Yes, so amoebiasis, that is caused by Entamoeba histolytica. It is a protozoan parasite that is in the large intestine of human, which causes amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. Symptoms of this disease include constipation, abdominal pain and cramps, stools with excess mucus and blood clots, Houseflies are the mechanical carriers. Now students, always remember there's a difference between a carrier and a vector. Now in Plasmodium, what we saw is female Anopheles mosquito is a vector. Okay, is a vector. Here we are talking about a carrier. Carrier is going to be like that Uber Ola guy who's just going to pick you from a destination and drop you in the destination. He's not going to ask you your other personal details or be a part of your family after that. Nothing is going to happen like that. No. Here this thing also same. See, this is a housefly. Okay. This is a housefly. This housefly has sat on the fecal matter. Okay. It has sat on the fecal matter. Now it has sat on the fecal matter. It will all the way fly. Okay, it will fly. Now don't tell this does not look like a housefly. Okay, it will have the fecal matter on the legs. Now it will come and you would have kept some food. Okay, you would have kept some food on the table. The housefly will come and sit on the food. Okay, housefly will come and sit on the food with those legs. Now this is a carrier. The housefly does not have any other job other than bringing the disease to you. Okay, but it is not having a live one stage of it happening inside his body like the female Anopheles mosquito. Vectors can be involved in the process as well sometimes. They are carriers, they are vehicles, but then the vehicles, they will be a part of the process. Like one stage of it might happen in the mosquito, right? But here nothing like that. Just carrying, aram se coming and sitting on the food. So never keep your food open. This can lead to amoebic dysentery or amoebiasis. Clear? Carrier and your art is nice, ma'am. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, carrier. Basically, by the time housefly reached here, it is into a DJ mode, standing and dancing on the food. So carrier is the person who carries and vector is a vehicle, but vector in that life one of the stages can be involved. Okay. So here moving forward, ascaris, ascariasis, okay, is caused by Ascaris lumbricoid. Ascaris lumbricoid. This is a type of a nematode. Or you say Ascalminthus, roundworm. These people are endoparasites. Okay, they can be found in the intestines of animals as well as humans. Okay, again, these people are also spread by unhygienic food and contaminated food only. Okay, so here, look here, Ascaris, a common roundworm, and Wucheria, the filarial worm, are some form of helminths which are known to be pathogenic to man. Ascaris, an intestinal parasite called ascariasis, causes ascariasis. Symptoms of this disease include internal bleeding, again during the extreme situation, muscular pain will be there, fever, anemia and blockage of intestinal passage. Okay, this person is very problematic, students, and in extreme condition they can also make perforations of the intestine and cause damage. Okay. So these people, the eggs of the parasite are excreted along the fecal matter. So one person got infected somehow. That person has Ascaris lumbricoids living in his intestine. Ascaris lumbricoids are going to lay eggs. That eggs will be present in his fecal matter, and he, let's say that person decides to, put the fecal matter on a ground. Okay, where there may be, later vegetables grown, or that water, through that water would be coming. So during these situations, what happened? That fecal matter will somehow reach the market to us. People who are having vegetables every day, washing and eating, and does not know about this man who had, secreted or excreted out the fecal matter in a land, okay, on an open place. This is why people tell always, you should make sure that you are using a washroom or a toilet whenever you are planning to go out. But in rural areas, all of you know, it happens very commonly, no? So it should always be noticed that you wash your vegetables very cleanly. Even if you wash, I know still the eggs would somehow reach our intestine. Okay, so in case we have any muscular pain, fever or blockage, or you're feeling abdominal pain during urination and other things, you should always go get it checked. So this is how, students, the fecal matter will have the eggs of the Ascaris lumbricoid, and it would have reached to us through soil, water or plants. Basically, they're telling that this would happen, let's say, by cultivation. So this is the land where the fecal matter was there. On this land, later they started growing some plants, and that plants have reached the market, from market to us. Okay, market to us. This is the flow chart. Difference between house and home. Home is what you build, house is what is already built it. Clear? Yes. Fine. This is your Ascaris lumbricoids for you people. Next is elephantiasis, students. This is caused by Wuchereria. Again, helminth, okay? Wuchereria bancrofti. Okay, this is the problem. Now, this is important thing. There is a vector involved. Okay, there is a vector involved in this process, and that is a Culex mosquito. Culex mosquito. Due to this mosquito only, the person will get elephantiasis. And now what is going to happen? Now what is going to happen? The person will have extreme swelling on his leg region, and it can reach up to the genital area. It can reach up to the genital area, where the person will have extreme, swelling on the lymphoid up to the genital area. Okay, clear or not? So this situation is very dangerous, and here only in Bangalore, near one of the church, I had met a person, like I had seen the person was begging, and that person had elephantiasis. Not now, when I was a kid, so I did not know that this was elephantiasis back then, but then yes, now I know that it is elephantiasis. So Wuchereria or Wuchereria bancrofti, Wuchereria malai is a filarial worm that causes a slowly developing chronic inflammation of the organs in which they live for many years. Okay, usually the lymphatic vessels, that is important, students, the lymphatic vessels of the lower limbs, and the disease is like swelling will happen of the lymphatic vessels, leading to elephantiasis, or else in other words we can call filariasis. Okay, the genital organs are also often affected, resulting in gross deformities. That means from the leg region, you will notice that the swelling has come to even the genital area, making gross infirmities, okay, disformities, okay, yes. Now, the pathogens are transmitted to a healthy person by the bite of a female mosquito, which is a Culex mosquito, okay, Culex mosquito. So, now you have learned two vectors, okay, one in malaria, you have learned about female Anopheles. Okay, female Anopheles mosquito, and here in elephantiasis, you have studied Culex mosquito. Now, when you learn dengue, chikungunya, you will learn about Aedes aegypti and all of that, okay? Yes. Fine, done. Something big is going to come today, Shrisha. So don't worry about NCERT line by line. Make sure that you join the class today at 5 p.m. Not the class, the series launch. And let me tell you, people are all going to enjoy it. Okay? Yes. Clear. Okay. Coming forward, this is going to be ringworm. Ringworm can be caused by Microsporum, Trichophyton and Epidermophyton. Microsporum affects the skin and the hair. Trichophyton, hair, nail, skin. Epidermophyton, skin and nails. You don't have to remember this, but you have to remember the genera of Microsporum, Trichophyton and Epidermophyton. This is important for you to remember, students. And these are like that whitish lesions that will be formed. Now, all of you would have seen a fungal allergy, if I'm not wrong. Like fungal allergy happens because like let's say in the regions where there could be places where the water can be, moisture content will be there. Like example, the fold here. Okay, you have a fold here, no, your elbow. Here, now if I keep it for a longer time, there are chances that the sweat will be here. Now, let's say I did not clean, I did not do anything, the sweat, there the fungus can grow. Why? Because the moisture content. I'm not telling everywhere, I'm just giving an example which you can lively understand. So, in those regions, you have to be very careful, right? Right behind your hair. Now, for girls, this hair portion is covered. Okay, this neck portion is covered with hair. So, during those areas also, you will see that you're prone to, darkness and all of that. So, what happens is, this fungal infection can come because you're sharing a towel with someone. fungal infection can come if you're like, using the same comb or other things, like a person who has dandruff. So all of that, this is that, okay. So many fungi belonging to the gene Microsporum trichophyton and Epidermophyton are responsible for ringworm, which is one of the most common infectious diseases, okay. Ringworm, which is the common infectious diseases. Appearance will be dry scaly lesions on various parts of the body such as skin, nails and hair. Okay, on the scalp. Scalp is so very easily, it will be contaminated, because this is always exposed, to dust, to sweat, everything. Now these lesions are accompanied by intense itching. So whenever you have itching, like that it's not a mosquito bite, but there is a redness around, then definitely you should go and use a anti-fungal bar or an anti-fungal powder you get in the medical store. Go and take bath from that. Okay, it will reduce in 2-3 use. But if you see that, okay, it's a mosquito bite or some other rash like that, then it is fine. But if you see that there is redness, there is white dots, then it is a fungal infection. And it can come in your shoe, okay, between your little finger shoe, when you wear always shoe, because of the sweat, between the fingers it can come. Hair to very common, nails, all those places it can come. Now heat and moisture helps these fungus to grow, which makes them thrive in the skin folds such as the groin or between the toes. This is what I told you, between the toes and the groin region. Ringworms are generally acquired from soil or by using towels, clothes or even combs. Okay, combs of another person. Done? Now very important, HIV. HIV, what is the full form? Human Immunodeficiency Syndrome. And all of you can see this beautiful diagram is drawn by me only. So this is the diagram of your HIV. I will just show you help you understand HIV as a whole. So human immunodeficiency virus causes your AIDS. Okay, AIDS, that is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Now students, AIDS does not kill a person. Like, in the sense, what I'm trying to say is AIDS will reduce the immunity. Okay, AIDS will reduce the immunity, and when AIDS reduces the immunity, you are prone to get a normal, like you can just get jaundice. Maybe it was curable for a normal person, but because the person has AIDS, the immunity is extremely low, that person can get jaundice to an extreme situation, pneumonia to an extreme situation, typhoid to an extreme situation that will take their life. So AIDS directly does not kill a person, but AIDS decreases the immune system, works on the immune system, kills the T cells, leading to a normal disease also becoming problematic. Okay, yes, Meghana, very good, human immunodeficiency virus. Now students, look here, this is the structure. As you can see, there is a phospholipid envelope. There are docking glycoproteins. Can you see this purple color structure? Those are the proteins, okay? And these proteins have one GP120. Can you see, if you consider it as a lollipop, the top portion will be GP120, the down stick portion will be the GP41. Now, what is going to happen? These people are so prepared. HIV is so prepared. These people have their own enzymes also. What are the enzymes that they have? They have reverse transcriptase to convert RNA to DNA, because they are entering the host. Host has DNA. So they have reverse transcriptase, they have protease to convert the protein, they have integrase to make sure integration happens. All this they will do. Okay. Now, inside this you will see a single stranded RNA. The pink color structure that you are seeing is a single stranded RNA here. Single stranded RNA. This is a capsid layer made up of protein, a protein coat to protect this the RNA, genetic material. This also you have studied in biological classification. Now, who are these cells? Who are these people? Like, who are they target? Now, you people keep targeting each other. No, why did you tell that? Why did you tell this? I told Gopika ma'am is my favorite. All that you people keep telling, no, and fighting with each other. That means you are targeting your friends. Here, who are these people's target? These people are only going to target the ones who have CD4 receptors. CD4 full form is cluster of differentiation. CD4 receptor. Who and all has CD4 receptor in our body? Dendritic cells, macrophages and T helper cells. These people are going to affect this. Okay, who? Macrophages, T helper cells and dendritic cells. Now the problem is, it is going to use macrophages as the factory to produce new HIV. But when it affects the T helper cells, and T helper cell being a part of a cell mediated immunity, HIV knows that this fellow works with immunity. He's in the polis. I have to make sure that I'm killing him. Right now, if a terrorist is going to attack, they'll first attack our military officers. Then only they are going to come into the cities and all of that. No, so first they will attack the people who are protecting us. So same thing here also. T helper cells is protecting. They will enter the T helper cells and they will kill the T helper cells, but they will not do the same for macrophages or dendritic cells, because they know that dendritic cells, okay, dentrons pe macrophages leave. It is okay. It is a part of WBC. It will do little bit of phagocytosis. It's okay for me. I will use it as a factory. Is this clear to all of you? Yes, is this clear? AIDS will be spread if you have sexual contact with the person, or blood transfusion has happened, tattoo has been done, intravenous drug abuse. Due to all this only AIDS will be spread. That means the fluid exchange should happen. Fluid exchange means blood, semen, that kind of fluid exchange should happen. Structure is clear. Now students, remember, to this CD4 receptor, your GP120 will go and come and attached. Okay, GP120 will come and attach with this GP41. So here CD4 receptor will be present in these three cells, and in that macrophages will act as a factory, T cells will act as a T cells, khatam, khel khatam, T cells, okay. So that is why a person will, you know, be affected with AIDS, like with normal diseases, like that is called as opportunistic diseases. That means they'll be waiting. Oh wait, immune system is very weak now. Now I'll go and affect this fellow will die off. That means they will wait for the opportunity to affect this person. That is called as opportunistic diseases. Clear? Chalo. Now look here. GP120, CD4 receptor, macrophages it is affecting. It will bind to the CD4 receptor, capsid inside the host cell. It will enter to the cell. Okay, this is the host DNA. I've done a beautiful, as you can see, the flow is very clear. Okay, yes. So here you can see, as soon as these people attach, the capsid, the entire capsid will come. Okay, the entire capsid will come and it will be waiting to release the ssRNA into the host DNA. So convert RNA into viral DNA with the help of reverse transcriptase. And where is reverse transcriptase present? Inside the HIV only. HIV is like, hey, I don't want help. I have everything for myself. I have reverse transcriptase, I have protease, I have integrase. I have 3 enzymes in my body. I will do all the job. Okay, I will do all the job. So it will convert to viral DNA. Integration of viral DNA with the host DNA with the help of integrase, and then it will start making viral proteins. Viral proteins will end up forming the new viruses. Their protease function will happen. Just study this box. Don't break your head for anything else. Don't break your head for anything else. Just this much you study. CD4 receptor, it will come and attach to the CD4 receptor. It will leave its viral RNA inside by converting RNA to DNA, integrate with our DNA, host DNA, and tell our host DNA how to work. So host DNA goes through central dogma, DNA to RNA, RNA to proteins, all that we know. This fellow will go manipulate our host DNA and tell you do one thing. You start making my virus. You start making new viruses. So our host DNA will be confused because integration has happened. So that will lead to viral protein formation and that will lead to new viruses. Is this clear to all of you? If you want to make a note, please make a note. Oh my God. That's why you're not attending the live class, huh? This is the whole story, okay? Story of HIV. HIV is very important. Any questions can come. Now look here. Mode of transmission. How is AIDS spread? Unprotected sex, intravenous drug abuse. That means taking the drugs to this one, okay? Contaminated blood. Prenatal, that means from the mother to the child. Blood transfusion or blood bank, sharing needles. Blood bank means you're going and taking the blood from some of the blood bank where you did not do the checking, nor you got a receipt with all the medical reports of the person who gave the blood. That blood has come to you by any means, okay, during any operation, any surgery, okay. Then if that person has AIDS, then you will also end up having AIDS. That means fluid mix should happen, students, neither blood or semen, okay. Saliva, sweat, all of that will have a very microscopic content that it will not be spread. And you know, virus without a host is not going to be living. Now, acute, that is lymphocyte, high HIV content. Now, remember that normally HIV will be more, but to reach to AIDS positive, okay, HIV, like I can say that, okay, this person is HIV positive. But it's not necessary that the person is AIDS positive. Why? Because AIDS developed during a span of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Okay. So, high HIV content. Now, ELISA is a technique that is a preliminary test, enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, which is an antibody antigen, like based on that principle it works. Western blotting is also done, and we can also do antiviral drugs, like we can give drugs also. But please do understand, there is no ultimate cure for AIDS, just that we can control or we can increase the lifespan of the person a little. Other than that, nothing. Okay, other than that, nothing. Clear? Western blotting, ELISA and antiviral drugs. AZT I have written. Okay. Acidothymidine we can give. These are kind of the viral drugs which can like reduce or increase the lifespan of that person, but not cure completely. Okay, not cure completely. Next one is cancer. Ready all of you? So far no doubts? No? Am I too fast? Am I too slow? Am I too perfect? Please tell me in the chat box. And are you all hungry? Yes, students. Is it fine? Wow, perfect, Meghana. Good job. Today's students were less confused. Yes, tell soon. Everything is fine. Are you understanding? Otherwise, I'll slow down. I think speed is fine only. Just tell me if you're understanding. Yes, let's. I don't know to sing. I don't know to sing. Okay, too perfect. Okay, fine. Cancer. Cancer also is a problematic disease. Why? Because we do not have solution for it. We do not have a one-stop solution for it. No? So here also, students, normal cells, they have contact inhibition. Let's say I am here, Yashu is here. Okay, Yashu comes and hits me and I will tell Yashu, stop dividing. Yashu will be like, okay, I will stop dividing. When I will stop dividing. That means what? When one cell and another cell come in contact and they touch, they know that, okay, I have to stop dividing here. Cancer cells have lost that contact inhibition. Normal cells show contact inhibition, definite lifespan, regulated division. Cancer cell, students, ulta ki ulta. Lack ability for contact inhibition, no definite lifespan, that is apoptosis, uncontrolled cell division. They are like, whatever you want you do, I will do whatever I want. And these people are so dangerous that they also have the ability to form new blood vessels around them and take the nutrients from the normal cells and grow. So this will, what will happen? This will damage the normal cells and they will keep growing because they have the ability of making new capillaries and blood vessels around them to supply them with all the nutrients. So it is very dangerous, cancer cells are. Okay. So this is the difference between normal cells and cancerous cells. First of all, lacks contact inhibition. Second thing, apoptosis. Third thing, uncontrolled cell division. Okay, clear to all of you? Now, here also one more thing, students. Mass of cells can be called tumor or neoplasm. Every tumor is not cancerous because there is benign tumor and malignant tumor. Benign, most of the time it's not cancerous. That means it will just grow in one place like this. Okay. Malignant tumor, it will go from here, it will start growing here. It will go from here to here, it will start growing. From here to here, it will start growing. Everywhere it will start growing and that is called as metastasis. I'll come to that. So here you see, tumors are two types, benign tumor, malignant tumor. Look at benign tumor, students. Among all the cells, it is just growing in one place. And it is not necessary that this fellow will become cancerous. So, confined to one location, less dangerous, and this is most of the time not painful. Most of the time not painful. But look at this fellow, malignant tumor. It is growing over the normal cells also it is growing. At the same time, it is also getting blood supply. Can you see? It's getting some blood vessels also around them. So it will keep growing. Blood vessels also are there. Supply is happening. So that is called as angiogenesis. That means where they make the new blood vessels. Okay, these are not confined, spread to other parts from the and forms the secondary tumors. Metastasis, very important question. They will ask you what is shown in the, like, metastasis is shown by which kind of tumor. Okay, no, I did not have lunch, dear. I should have after the class. Okay, so metastasis is the situation where, as I told you, from here I am going to this place. I start growing here. Full GMAs I make, full tumor I make. Okay, grow here, full I make here. Here also I come, full I make. That means what? This is called as metastasis. Wherever they are going, they are forming new tumors there. But benign is not like that. Benign is like, okay, I'm standing here, I will just grow here, and I'm not you. I need not be cancerous. I need not be painful as well. Okay, fine. This is the whole thing. Angiogenesis is new blood vessel formation around them so that they get all the supply and the other cells do not get any supply. These people will steal the nutrients from the other cells. Very problematic, students. Now, cancer can be caused by three means: physical, chemical and biological. Physical can be by UV rays, X-rays or gamma rays. That means radiations and ionizations. You are continuously exposed. We tell no, ozone layer depletion will lead to skin cancer, increase in skin cancer. Why? Because we are getting exposed to X-rays and gamma rays too much. Okay, so sorry, UV rays and X-rays. So physical is UV rays, X-rays and gamma rays. Got it? Yes, that's why tumors are more dangerous. Miss, next Sunday I have chapters. I would say, are you having a NEET mock test or do you have a 12th mock test? Like I'm telling, boards or NEET? On what basis? Bruce Lee. Okay, now chemical is going to be tobacco and smoke. Very, very dangerous. Maybe people who are smoking now, they might be enjoying it, but on a long run, tobacco is one of the most dangerous one. So tobacco and smoke is a chemical cause. Now students, biological is very, very important. That is, in our body, with the normal cells, there is proto-oncogenes. What is that? There is proto-oncogenes. This proto-oncogenes can get activated with any of the physical or chemical means. Let's say proto-oncogenes are there. We are continuously smoking. Proto-oncogenes got activated. It will become cancerous. It will become cancerous. So, biologically inactive. These people are inactive. But it can get activated due to any physical or chemical means. Okay? And it will become oncogenic and they will become viral oncogenes. That means they will become cancerous. Clear to all of you? Three things: physical, chemical, biological. Physical is by UV, X-rays and gamma rays. Chemical is by tobacco smoke. And your biological is by proto-oncogenes, which are inactivated but can get activated due to any of the physical or chemical means and then later become cancerous. Clear? Okay. Now, last and final, okay, topic, that is your biotechnology. Biotechnology, few things are given here and there, so we will just go through that. When they are explaining transgenic animals, no, few things they have mentioned. Okay, so hats off to all the students who stayed till here and watched the lecture till the end. So study of diseases, students, many transgenic animals are designed to increase our understanding of how genes contribute to the development of a disease. These are specially made to serve as models for human disease so that investigation of new treatments for diseases is made possible. Today, just listen to this. Today, transgenic models exist for many human diseases like what and all? Cancer, cystic fibrosis, okay, rheumatoid arthritis and Alzheimer's. That means, students, we are using animals like your sheep, cow, just to know what are the effect. Like I want to try something. I want to try, let's say, interferons. Now I'm going to try the interferons because interferons have the ability to signal the other cells telling that I got virus attack. You people please protect yourself. So I can use interferons, but I cannot try it on humans who have cancer, or I cannot try it on humans who have AIDS, let's say example. So I want to try it on animals. Now for that we have transgenic animals. At the same time we can also do, like we can add a gene and check what would be the end results, like it is done in emphysema, which I will show you here. Now look here, medicines required to treat certain human diseases can contain biological products, but such products are often expensive to make. So transgenic animals that produce useful biological products can be created by introducing a portion or a desired gene. Now, students, how it happened for our golden rice. People are telling that, okay, this is lacking, that is lacking, keratin we need, okay, we need vitamin. So what we will do, we will just add the gene into that and we will sell the rice. Now, this is not harming anyone. At the same time, the people who have a deficiency is also getting cured because of it, right? So, color blindness would go, okay, so that way here also we can use transgenic animals. We know that, okay, cow is going to give milk. But we notice that the population in India has something less in their body. Okay, something is less. Okay, let's say X factor is less. Everyone drinks tea and coffee every single day. So, we add one gene to make sure that the deficiency is not there in this population. That's all. That's all. Okay. Alzheimer's is memory loss. Memory loss because of old age. Okay. It happens because of old age, and that is called as Alzheimer's. Okay. Now, which codes for a particular product, such as, example, very important, human protein called alpha-1 antitrypsin used to treat emphysema. So this alpha-1 antitrypsin human protein, question will come in such a way, which is the human, no, alpha-1 antitrypsin, option A, human protein, human hormone, like that, like hormone, protein, gene, like that. They will give you multiple questions and you have to identify human protein. It's a human protein which is there. But for people who have emphysema, which is a chronic disorder because of reduction in the respiratory surface, which we studied starting of this class, okay, which we studied in the starting of the class, that is there in our body. But continuous smoking has happened. Smoking, emphysema happened. Now, we cannot inject something in this person's body. So, we will use a transgenic animal. So, human protein alpha-1 antitrypsin used to treat emphysema. Similar attempts have been made for the treatment of phenylketonuria, that is where ketone bodies are formed. Just now we studied, in insulin, the glucose will be going out and ketone bodies will be formed, which is harmful. Or in cystic fibrosis. So, in 1997, the first transgenic animal called Rosie was formed. Okay, Rosie produced human protein enriched milk. Okay, enriched milk. The milk contained human alpha lactoalbumin, which was nutritionally a more balanced product for human babies than natural cow milk. Clear to all of you? Clear to all of you? Yes or no? So, here exactly what happens, students? They were like, okay, anyway, cow is giving us milk. So, we will just add one gene which will give us lactoalbumin, which is going to be better and nutritionally more important than a normal cow's milk. Okay, which might have LAB, but we don't want that. We want something more. So, we will get lactoalbumin. Same thing was done here also. The ship Tracy. So, here we did alpha-1 antitrypsin we got from that. Okay, clear or not? Yes or no? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Hey students, I hope the session was super psych. For more such amazing videos, ಬೇಗ subscribe ಮಾಡಿ, like ಮಾಡಿ, comment and share the video.